First of all, Mr. Tolbert, thank you very much for taking this time to sit down and visit with SalineRiverChronicle.com. We appreciate it. How long have you been the Warren Superintendent?
I've been superintendent at Warren since 2000, so 13 years.
13 years, good stretch of time.
Yes, sir.
As superintendent. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, where you went to school, those type of things.
I was born in in Stuttgart, Arkansas, and went to school in Crossett. Finished school at Crossett and went to college at Henderson State University. Didn't know what I was wanting to do, but I always admired the band director there at Crossett, Mr. C.T. Foster. Mr. Foster was always sharp. He wore those hush puppies. I don't think they make those anymore. And he wore those sweaters and the starched shirts, and he could play all the instruments. And I just liked band, and so I went to Henderson on a band scholarship. And then after getting my degree in instrumental music, I got a call from a professor said that they needed a band director at Warren. And I came here, interviewed for the job with Mr. James Hughes in 1974, and was hired here and stayed here for 10 years as junior high band director working with Curry Martin. Learned quite a bit with Curry. I never will forget the interview with Mr. Hughes. He said, now you're going to be working with Curry Martin. I give you two pieces of advice. Don't ever go hunting with him, and don't ever go fishing with him. And of course, Curry and I did a lot of things together, but we didn't hunt and fish. And after dealing with Curry, I kind of knew why he gave me that advice. But stayed here for 10 years as junior high band director, and went back and got my master's in instrumental music, as a matter of fact. Got my master's in '77, but during the time I was getting my master's, Mr. Brunson, who was junior high principal, kept telling me, you need to go into administration. I said, no, sir, you got me mixed up. I'm not the guy. And he said, yeah, you really do. Well, it rocked on and rocked on. Mr. Brunson retired. Dr. Steve Castleberry came here in '82, and I was still band director. And he said, when Mr. Brunson was retiring, he said, you got any plans? I said, no, sir. He said, what do you want to be doing the next 5 years? I said, I don't know. He said, have you ever thought about administration? I said, no, sir, I'm not the one. He said, well, think about it. So I interviewed for the job, but Frank Anthony got the job. And Dr. Castleberry told me that if I get a chance to hire you, I will. And the next 2 weeks, he announces that he was leaving, going to Newport. And I went back in and I said, I'm glad you didn't hire me, Doc. You're leaving. And he said, well, you got two choices. You can be high school band director or assistant principal. That's how I got to Newport. Stayed in Newport for 3 years as assistant high school principal. Got a call to come back as high school principal here in Warren. Spent 5 years from '87 to '92, and left Warren and went to Jack Roby Junior High School in Pine Bluff in '92. Went from 400 student body population to 1,200 student body population. And as I've said on many occasions, I got 5 years experience in that 1 year at Jack Roby. It was a learning curve for me, and it was out of my league in regard to the number of people, the kids I was used to. I was used to high school, not junior high. But luckily, I was moved to the high school, followed L.G. Goss, who had been there for 22 years. And had a good stint at the high school, stayed there 5 years, and went to the central office for 2 years as assistant superintendent over secondary instruction, and then moved back here at Warren in 2000.
Well, you mentioned a number of names in that chronicle of your background, that are, a couple of them are kind of legends in this community. Curry Martin, certainly you mentioned him, and Mr. Brunson,
right.
A wonderful man. Have meant so much to this community as well. So you had a lot of people that you worked for and with that were quite helpful to you.
I did. I've been blessed, as I said, beyond measure. Mr. Martin, I learned quite a bit from him. He had a work ethic that was compared to no one. I mean, I would get at home at 6 o'clock when as a band director, and got home at 4 o'clock as an administrator. I didn't know what to do with the time, because we gave private lessons after school. And Mr. Brunson was an icon in his own right as well. I mean, he was always encouraging people. And of course, we have a school named after him, so you know he's a legend and be around for a long time.
Absolutely. Well, they were good people, and it was great to have that opportunity to work with them. Well, let's talk about your time as superintendent here at Warren, which I think from the outside looking in, from my perspective, I think you did a really great job of managing our school system. Talk a little bit about what you feel like you accomplished as superintendent, maybe some of the changes that took place?
Well, first of all, I was blessed to have a good board to work for and great people to work with me. So it was a team effort. The first challenge I had coming here was to pass the millage. I mean, I think prior to getting here, the millage had failed twice, and that was the first priority. And we were successful in doing that. And I think in 2002, I believe it was, 01, 2, somewhere along the, it was 73% passage rate for our community, and that was great. We were able to, as you know, build a new school complex that housed grades 4 through 8, 4 and 5 in one section, 6, 8 in another. Renovate the high school to accommodate ninth graders. And so we on the campaign, we dealt with academic delivery rather than brick and mortar, because there were a lot of people who were talking about the old junior high, who should be, you know, don't tear it down, and so forth and so on. But we finally did, and we moved on. We also was able at that time to build a media center at Eastside, build an indoor facility, we resurfaced the track, build a concession stand in the north end of the field, and we also built a hippie building and a counselor's building over at Eastside, and renovated all the buildings over Eastside so they look alike, and put safety fence around the playground, upgraded the playground equipment. And so we've done quite a bit with the infrastructure. Academically, you know, we changed the academic delivery system from just grades, K-5 right now, to levels of learning. And we're making time the variable and not the constant, and learning the constant. And so I think together we've done quite a bit.
You feel like the kids that come through the Warren School District get as good of education as anywhere in the state of Arkansas?
I would think that, and most people would say that as well when you ask that type question, but I always ask seniors who go off, who finish and go off to college, when I see them, were you prepared to do the work? And sometimes they're from UAM, sometimes they're from Henderson. But if you check and look at all the kids who have finished, your son Rob is an example, they go off to different colleges and they do well. And so I would put our school district up against any school district in the state and how we prepare kids for life and for whatever they're going to do after they finish high school.
You talked about your background having been music and band, but you presided over a fairly successful athletic program during your time as a superintendent. I know I've heard you tell some great stories about your interaction with Coach Hembry, but any comments about Warren Athletics?
Well, when I came from Pine Bluff, as you know, when I was principal there, Marion Glover, who has Warren ties, was also a coach here, but he was coach at Pine Bluff. In my first 3 years there, we won 3 state championships, lost 1 game, and had 1 tie. And so I was used to zebra football. And so I first met Coach Hembry back in 2000. I started talking about the athletic program. He said, "Oh, we'll take it to the next level." I'm like, "Yeah, right, Coach." I didn't tell him that. He was young, energetic, and I was just thinking, okay, I'm used to zebra football, and I was principal here, and I didn't think too much about lumberjack football. But true to form and true to his word, he really changed the face of athletics for us. I mean, some great players, and the athletic program has really taken off. And I've been to a lot of places, and the first thing they'll ask you when you say you're from Warren is, "What about those lumberjacks?" And so even at Washington, D.C., I was talking to a person that worked with one of the senators there, one of the young people, and he's from Wynne, Arkansas. When I told him I was from Warren, he said, "How about the lumberjacks?" So Coach Bo has put, with the help of his coaches and other staff, has put Warren on the map in terms of football.
Now that's interesting. Let me ask you more of a philosophical question here, but you're going out now, retiring, and having a great career, and I believe done an excellent job for Warren. Where do you see education heading now? What kind of changes do you think are going to be taking place as we continue to try to improve the education system in Arkansas?
Well, I think accountability is still going to be the benchmark for everything. We want to make sure that our kids are really learning so that they can be able to do. In order to do that, we're going to have to teach kids the way they learn. And so, and I think eventually the teacher evaluation system, when you're evaluating teachers, is going to change. We got what we call TESS, T-E-S-S, which is an acronym for Teacher Excellence Support System, where we train our teachers to we'll train our administrators to be able to evaluate teachers so they can do a better job in the classroom. But I think you'll see us realizing here in Arkansas, school education, that these kids are going to be competing globally, and we have to prepare them for that. And we have to get them college and career ready. Everyone is not going to go to college, but they need to get a career so they can learn a skill. So I see more of a push. I see the state making more accountability efforts in regard to grading schools and school districts, letter grades A, B, C, D, F. Now, good or bad, I don't know, but that's the wave of the future because people want to know how their kids are doing. And so I just see a big change in education in regard to that.
Well, I'm going to wrap this up by asking you something that's very important to me personally. I want to know what your future plans are, and are you going to stay in Warren, Arkansas?
Right now, my future plans are to spend a little bit more time with my grandkids. I have four, 3 boys and a girl. And my mom is down at Crossett, my grandkids are at Pine Bluff, so I'm right in the middle, 45 minutes north or south from my family. So we plan to stay here right now. And we plan to travel a little bit. And then I'll just see how things go. I'll assess, sometimes people say you retire and then you have too much to do and you want to get back and do something else. That may be an option, I'm not sure. But right now, I'm just looking forward to having an option of getting up if I need to or want to, and just doing what I want to do for a change.
Well, we thank you for your service. Thank you for your contributions to the Warren School District and what you've done for education here, and we just wish you all the best and hope to see you regularly.
You will. Thank you much for this interview.